The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome back to Old Space Show. I'm Brandon, and this is my companion, Stephen Schapansky.
Hello, hello.
This series of Old Space Show follows the intergalactic swashbuckling escape antics of Roche Blake and his ruffian crew in the first season of Blake's 7. Today, we're discussing the 12th episode, Deliverance.
In this episode, a spaceship crashes on the planet Cephalon, and when the crew of the Liberator answer a distress call, they find their own lives endangered. Jenna is captured by primitive savages, the ship is hijacked, and Blake is caught in a race against time.
All right, for this penultimate episode, Michael E. Bryant was drawn out of the hat. It's written by Tiny Terry Nation. I don't know who's Tiny. I'm just trying to come up with something other than just Terry Nation to say every week. Starring Gareth Thomas, Sally Nivette, Paul Darrow, Jan Chapo, Michael Keaton, David Jackson, Peter Tuddenham, Jacqueline Pierce, Stephen Grief, Tony Conter, Suzanne Farmer, and James Lister. Always good when an episode opens up with Servalon.
Because you think, well, it opens up a little shuttle. It's funny. I remember seeing I took out from the library a few times a visual effects book called Doctor Who Visual Effects. It was written by Matt Irvine, who, amongst many other things on Doctor Who, was responsible for making K9. And in that book, there was also a shot of some of his work on Babylon 5, on Blake 7. And it was what many, many, many years later turned out to be a shot of that shuttle in the very first shot of this episode. I didn't know what it was from, but I'm thinking, whoa, what is this Blake 7 show? They're shooting on blue screen. I had never seen a behind-the-scenes shot of Doctor Who before on blue screen. So to me, Blake 7 was like this even more advanced BBC show.
For adults.
And they had a cool-looking like spaceship model and stuff. So so when I saw that for the first time, I thought, that's the ship! That's the one! So, yeah. Very, 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 very nostalgic episode for me. This, the awesome one shot of the space shuttle in this.
That little thing meant a whole lot. So, speaking of Who Watch, do we have anything going on with the actor Stephen?
Well, we've got Tony Conter, who is, oddly enough, he was cast in Colony in Space to replace a female character, but the people at the BBC said that, I don't know if a woman who's sort of like a sadistic commandant seems a little kinky. Let's not cast a woman at all, and let's cast a man. And that man was Tony Conter, and so Michael E. Bryant, who directed that, directed this, and perhaps remembered him from that, and he's sort of the lead in here. He goes on to be in Enlightenment as well, not directed by Michael E. Bryant.
There we go. And this one, we have a little plot that's going to develop throughout this and the next episode. It's kind of a two-parter, right?
It is. And we'll get to the how they tie it in together as a two-parter. But they kind of did this in, I'm trying to think, wasn't there like in episode 3? Cygnus Alpha, wasn't there like a bit of a recap, like the captain's log kind of thing? Here's what happened. It's kind of to remind the viewers, and there's sort of like, it's kind of like an dietic actual recap previously on, and they kind of do that next week for this one. So it was early days for 2-part stories where you weren't necessarily expecting everyone to have turned in the previous week. If
you didn't have an MC like Batman in '66, you had to find clever ways to do it. Or they get into like, was it the '80s that started the whole previously on, and then because that was and then like the one of the, I don't know if the network shows still do that with the previously on.
They do.
Show click. They do. Okay.
Thankfully, the streaming shows do too, and I appreciate that.
I mean, I was meeting with the voice that goes previously on.
Oh,
I know they do recaps. We still get recaps, but the whole previously on.
Yeah. That's right. It should be Majel Barrett doing it. For the Star Trek Next Generation ones, because those are the ones I always associate with them.
And then I remember on Lost, John Terry did them. He was the guy who played Jack's father, the dead father that he mysteriously kept seeing all around the island and appear in flashbacks. But he did all the previously on Lost things like that.
Right.
But yeah, the art of fitting it in, and then or the whole episode with the clip show episodes. Would it be funny if a streaming show did a clip show episode? That would be hilarious.
Well, we paid for 9 episodes. You've only given us 8, so clip show. I think that would be just amazing if they did that.
One of my favorite gags of all time was the Clerks cartoon series. The second episode of the entire series was a clip show episode, and they only had 1 episode to reference. So it was part of the joke, but it was right. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed it because they got like stuck in the freezer, and they were just like reminiscing about 1 episode that had only been, and it was pretty brilliant. The Clerks cartoon was ahead of its time, actually. One of the better things Kevin Smith has ever done.
Oh.
So we're on Blake 7 though, talking about TV stuff, styling, stereotypes, history. This one, there's a ship that we find out more about. It's one of its passengers, I guess. That there's a deal with Servalon. She kind of like is going along with the deal, but has other motives and plans, and like sets off a bomb on it, and it crashes on a planet there's 2 pods that swim around in space that the Liberator picks up on, and that kind of and those pods land on a planet that kind of leads the Liberator to go check out the planet, which let's be fancy here. It's a snowy rock quarry.
I know, you could tell that we've hit the end of the production block, and it's firmly into winter. This is probably shot in January 1978. I'm thinking. Actual snow. Avon wearing my favorite outfit of his, that being notice that like he jettisons the space hoodie and goes full on silver coat from here on in whenever he goes into cold environments. It's great. I've seen people cosplay as that at conventions. Yeah, with that exact outfit on. So iconic it is. I wonder how Gareth Thomas, who plays Raj Blake, was thinking about this time, thinking like, here, it's his show, but this episode is very much like, here's Avon. He gets to go down to the planet for the first, it's Blake who's up in the, up manning the teleporter.
Yep.
And not only to that, like he's more or less kind of the star of his whole plot line, but he has this very bright silver outfit on that is unmistakable and you can't take your eyes off of him.
Right.
This almost feels like the beginning of Avon's star rising to me.
Did they just was Paul Darrow just a guy they all liked on set, and he was easy to work with, and that's why they're like, let's just keep being nicer to him. I don't know.
I think the character just led to so much. Poor Blake is very. He's a hero, this is what he is, and
vanilla stuff,
kind of, like Luke Skywalker is kind of the same. You kind of need that sort of to be the centerpiece of a show that's about heroes, and then you can sort of allow for darker angles for the rest of the characters. And Blake doesn't really have that, I find. Although I do take that back a little bit, because I think the way that he treats Ensor, when he's holding Callie hostage in this, is kind of cruel in a way, like he's sort of like, you better be awake for it, because that 1 second we can we'll kill you basically, and
right.
And there's this kind of standoff, like he's kind of being a little bit ruthless there.
True, yeah, and he's kind of being what you would expect. Avon would never do something like that, though, I feel like, but he would support somebody doing that. I guess, but like, yeah, I feel like with two, despite how Terry Nation writes and stuff, like it's hard not, even with Terry Nation writing, he probably still gets nice quippy lines and interesting directions for Avon. Like it's just in the nature of the character as created, and Darrow probably he adds a bit more to it. There's always, and you see growth in Avon almost, unlike all the other characters, like. Through it, just, and I think it's in Darrow's performance, a lot of it too. But this one too, like you mentioned, like a lot of it's Avon, but like for a good chunk of the first half of this episode, it is like transporting up and down and up and down and up and down and up. Like you're going down, okay, we're coming back up, and you're going down, and it was kind of interesting how they just extended a search like that. Because that's a lot of Blake Seven stuff. Sometimes it's just like, okay, let's look around.
Yeah. And it's another episode where they beam down. Okay, be sure to be right where you are when we need to beam up, because it's going to get pretty heavy down here.
Oh, yeah.
Understood. And naturally, the very next thing that happens, take us immediately away from this planet, or I will shoot Callie, and thus the Liberator is out of commission. I think it's the third time this season I think that's happened.
People want to take that Liberator. It's the ship of dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jenna gets taken away immediately, so they don't have to write anything for her. And then, Blake and Callie, who are on the ship for once, normally they're the A squad that goes down, are tied to this Ensor guy who's been injured, who has made the deal with Servalon, and he needs to get his father some fuel cells for his heart. Mm-hmm. There's a mention of Aurak. Like,
whatever Aurak is.
Whatever it is.
Something. I do like that, of course, Servalan didn't get rich by writing people checks for 100 million credits,
No.
So naturally, she sabotages the ship and has it go down. Doesn't blow him up, of course. I think is what she intended to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was kind of cool. I liked that. Once again, Servalan and Travis are back in the show again after a couple weeks off.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, they're interesting ways, which we get here, and there's not just the savages on this planet to add to things. There's Megat.
Okay, so. This is go on.
She is crazy, and I dig it. It's such a weird element thrown in here.
It means absolutely nothing to the plot.
Nope, it doesn't.
That's the thing. It's in part it's kind of entertaining because to see how Megat reacts to Avon. In reality, it's something to give these 3 or 4 crew members to do, but it is completely superfluous. It's only a reason to just have Callie and Blake on the bridge. If there was one more person on the bridge, then they probably could have overtaken Ensor, but it had to be 2 people to have that kind of drama. So they said, well, let's create some weird drama where there's this one woman who's staying behind, apparently, and she's become a bit kooky, and is sort of like just waiting for like the chosen one, and because he's the first person that comes to the door, or maybe because he's wearing his new silver coat, Avon is that person. And then all they do is say, well, we got to get these race banks in this rocket. But who was speaking? Who was speaking in the rocket to do the countdown and all that? Because that is something like, was there someone in there the whole time just sitting around waiting? And what happened to Megat after that ship took off? Did she stay there? They didn't really mention where she went. She just sort of said, "Oh, she had a crush on you, didn't she, Avon?" "Yeah, she did." Anyway, on to other business.
I love that. She seems to be on your side.
Yeah, but like, what happened to her? Did they just leave her there? Like, there's no one on that planet now, apart from the savages.
It's like, well, that was nice. Yeah, like I figured like she was going to be some add-on when it felt like this wasn't going to completely resolve.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, is she going to come? I was like, I couldn't remember. I was like, did she come along to the like? No, just
no. And like
gone.
her rocket, the rocket that's with the range specs in it, like are going to reach their destination in 500 years.
Yeah.
So they couldn't necessarily just sort of drop her off or like help with the rocket and push it along to get there sooner. So yeah, I have no idea what happened to Begat. It seems cruel to have just left her there, but I feel like without a line like saying, "Oh well, a good thing we just dropped Megat off at some Class M planet or something like that, and now she'll be fine." Nope, no mention of that. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, good. We left her off to help out with the Zeta Alpha chapter of our revolution.
Like there, she'll do great. She won't do great. She doesn't even know where the on button is on the computer bank. So,
it's weird. These people, this group, gets to come down for a mission only to be holed up in a pretty much like a bridge room with somebody just hanging out, doing nothing important. It's a bait and switch here because it's like, oh, we'll leave Callie and Blake up there, but they get the interesting stuff with the information we want to know going on.
I know. Gan's probably thinking, yes. David Jackson gets the script to go, yes, going on location, getting action and stuff. No, you're not.
Run in the snow. There you go.
You are being sidestepped again, Gan. I'm so sorry.
Right. Avon he gets to deck a guy, right? Like he punches a dude in the face. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's something. But yeah, that's kind of what our heroes do. I want to go. So Servalon and Travis, very interesting here because she's got a really delicious plan here. Like it's super devious that she's already betrayed Ensor by the time we hear about it, and it's off the books, complete secrecy. Mm-hmm. Travis is the only guy she's letting in on it, and he's like, Travis says, "You're almost as ruthless as I am." She goes, "You underestimate me, Travis." He's like, "It begins to look that way." But there's a cog here. She, like the guy was piloting the rocket she blew up. His name was Marriott, and he was the guy that saved Travis's life and put the patch on him. Sacrificed by Servalan. So it's real interesting. It's like of who Travis is. Like, well, that upset me, but
there's a hint of loyalty there from Travis, which is kind of like, oh, you actually cared. Very briefly,
Yeah, like, well, I think it was more like he knows he should feel that way about it, and should he stick to those guns, or, I don't think, it feels without emotion somewhat.
Yeah.
Like, on paper, I'm supposed to be this way, and he's telling that to her. Mm-hmm. Or, you shouldn't have done that because in the process of loyalty, this doesn't work for me, but...
Trying to create some strife very briefly between Travis and Servalan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good scene between the two. Yeah, whenever they're both sharing the screen, you're in for a good time with these episodes while our crew bumbles around in the snow, and we're setting up the next week's episode pretty much with a lot of it. But, it worked for me mostly, I would say. Just for the snow stuff, seeing a rock quarry in the snow.
Yep, always good.
And
it's good to see that it snows in England. It's nice.
It does. Does it anymore? Are we
occasionally?
Okay.
Oh well, let me tell you. I follow enough British people on Twitter that when it snows, you know when it snows because it's like the world is ending.
Oh geez. So it's Texas when they get a light snow once every couple of years,
exactly,
or sprinkling.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. This is I don't know this in the Servalan Travis Chronicles. This might be one of the weaker ones.
You can tell that they're setting up for the next episode more than this one, and that they haven't neither of anyone has reached Ensor's father rather, and this mysterious Orak. Insofar that the ending of the episode is one of the weakest little cliffhangers. It says, okay, well, let's go see Orak. Jenna set course, and like the music is cueing in over Jenna going, yep, setting course, standard by 6. Ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Were
like,
they planning a 2-hour finale? Like
that's the ending. Like, at least have a shot of the ship flying off at the end towards their destination. Maybe it just you could see
it's
Avon.
an Andor cliffhanger, right?
Yeah,
to keep it relevant.
You could see Avon walk offset behind him, which is so hilarious. It just feels like such an afterthought. It's a strange.
Hurry up,
strange
Sally!
set.
It's tea time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be built up better with what they have. Like, it could be edited better.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah,
and start the music up a little. Like, it didn't. Yeah, we're supposed to. Oh, one more. Maybe back the feeling when you're watching TV in 78 is like this. Maybe got you pumped. And we're watching it retroactively and just like, well, that feels like a yawn. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Maybe it was back then too.
Who knows? Not everything built up to a massive cliffhanger, I guess, in the 1970s. But
nobody was going to die next week. Well, wait,
Nope.
Sorry, I'm wrong. Nobody we see this week is going to die next week. Well, yeah, they just she just looks up and boom, done. Okay, I pushed a button. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. Not the most inspiring, but the episode as a whole, I thought was
it's
quite
fine.
entertaining. Yeah,
it's fine. It's not. Yeah, it's like in the good part of the middle of if you rated the episodes, maybe it's like top half of the middle. I don't know. But yeah, all setting up for next week. So does it get better if next week's great? Was this it'll be worth it if next week's great. That's
right.
That's how I guess you're supposed to judge that thing, or what people will say. But as its own, it's fine. It's entertaining. It's good. The Snowy Rock Quarry adds for a different kind of environment we haven't seen yet in this season. We get like a dastardly plot with people on the Liberator bit, but yeah, easily taken care of.
It is a little bit. Just basically waiting for him to hurry up and die before we can go back and collect the friends, basically. So that is, they stay away pretty much exactly as long as they need to help create some urgency in the plot that's on the planet.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to, hopefully we're building you up for next week's finale, folks that are listening. Better than that? No, we're probably not. We're probably just as equal with it. But Stephen, please set our course again for Earth. But before we give it to the Federation, where can people keep up with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Legopolis. I also do Doctor Who podcasts, believe it or not, Radio Free Scarl, Lazy Doctor Who, and The Memory Cheats.
That's Legopolis, like Lego, Legopolis, not like some town of just legs.
Exactly.
The city of legs. But hashtag the aristocrats. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brand4KUHD. We're going to work at whysobblue.com. There's more from the Brandon Peters Show next week. I believe we'll be in November, so the Tim Burton retrospective has begun on the show with Scott Mendelson and I going through everything. And I'm, most people would just start at Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Nope. We are going through shorts from like 1970s and things that aren't even complete that we can find, including like a one-time airing Disney Channel Hansel and Gretel thing he put out. Crazy stuff. Also doing things like Fairy Tale Theater and Alfred Hitchcock Presents that he worked on as well. But we're going through it all. Quite fun. I think you're going to like it. But listen to that. And listen to Stephen and I back here next week for the finale of Old Space Show Blake 7, Series 1. Until then...
If it takes all my life, I will destroy you, Blake. I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.